Okay, I welcome you all to FCO Accountants Tuition Center YouTube channel. Luando Franklin is my name. I'm the pioneer of FCO Accountants Tuition Center. I've worked extensively in training institutions, and also practically I've worked in accountants field. I have vast experience in both training and the accountants field. In today's video, I will be explaining the basics on the bank reconciliation statements. This topic is relevant to a knowledge level ACCA, CIMA and ZICA, and also knowledge level for those doing a degree in accountancy. I will be explaining what causes the differences. So look at what causes the difference between the cash book balance and the bank statement balance. So I'll start with the causes of the difference. What causes the difference? Causes of the difference. Causes of the difference. Causes of the difference. Under normal circumstances, the cash book balance should be the same as the bank statement balance. But in practice, they are not the same. So we are looking at causes of the difference between the cash book balance and the bank statement balance. So one is ignorance. Ignorance of what? What the bank is doing. Ignorance of what the bank is doing. Now, the bank will charge bank charges. So the bank charges are generated by the bank. So the entity is not aware about the bank charges. They'll only know about that when they receive the bank statement. Number two, standing orders. Standing orders, the current account order may give instructions to the bank that they pay on their behalf a fixed amount at regular intervals. That's very important. Fixed amount at regular intervals. And the entity is not aware until they receive the bank statement. So the standing order payments will be on the bank statement and not in the cash book. So that will cause the difference. So number three, direct debit. Direct debit. Direct debit is also another method of payment, just like the standing order, but for the direct debit, the amounts are different. And also, it is paid at any time. An entity may give the bank an instruction to pay on their behalf amounts which are different at any time. For example, if they are paying a supplier, you can pay by deduct. If you are paying amounts which are different, for example, electricity which varies, you can use the direct debit. Therefore, it will show on the bank statement and not in the cash book. Then we also have number four, credit transfer. Credit transfer. A credit transfer is also known as a bank giro. A bank giro. A credit transfer is also referred as a bank giro. A bank giro. Now, an arrangement can be made with a bank and the entity, and those people who want to make payments to the entity. They can simply transfer the amounts into the bank account of the entity. They only know that they have made a payment when they receive the bank statement. So it will be on the bank statement and not in the cash book, the bank columns only. And now, these are the major. They are the major factors that will cause the difference. Now we got to timing difference. The first one was ignorance of what the bank is doing. Also, there is number 5 there. Mistakes made by the bank on the bank statement. Mistakes or errors. Errors on the bank statement. Errors on the bank statement. Okay, so those are the factors that fall under ignorance of what the bank is doing. Now we can look at timing difference. This is number 2. Timing difference. The timing difference will be caused by number 1, unpresented checks. Unpresented checks. The unpresented checks are also referred to as outstanding checks. Unpresented checks are also referred to as outstanding checks. These are checks that the entity have paid and they have been entered in the cash book, but the people have not yet presented the checks to their banks, and therefore they are not on the bank statement, but they will show in the cash book. That will also cause the difference. Then we have uncleared checks. Uncleared checks are also referred to as uncredited checks or lodgements. Uncleared checks are also referred to as uncredited checks or lodgements. These are checks which the entity has received from the receivables, and they have been entered in the cash book, the bank columns only, but they are not yet cleared. Therefore, they are not showing on the bank statement. So those are the causes. Now, how do we reconcile so that we have the same balance? When reconciling, you need to take the following steps. So when you are reconciling, you need to take the following steps. Step 1 is to identify those items which are on the bank statement, but not in the cash book. Very important. Those items or transactions on the bank statement, but not in the cash book. So transactions, identify. Very important. Identify those items or transaction on the bank statement but not in the cash book. But not in the cash book. So identify those items on the bank statement, but not in the cash book. In number 2, which is step 2, now update the cash book by entering those items identified in 1. Update. Update the cash book by entering items in 1. The items in 1, which are here. Number 3, prepare the bank reconciliation statement. Prepare the bank reconciliation statement. The bank reconciliation statement by taking into account. By taking into account 1, the unpresented checks. Unpresented checks, and 2, uncleared checks. And after you are done that, the 2 balances will be the same. We have reconciled. Now I want to explain the balance which goes to the statement of financial position. This is very important. The cash book that has been updated or amended. So the balance as per updated cash book is the one that goes to the statement of financial position, because that's the amount that you expect after all the differences have been cleared. Is that okay now? So now we are going to look at the simple process of comparing. We have the cash book there and we have the bank statement. So what you do, you always start from the cash book to compare. The opening balance there is the same as on the bank statement. On 7th December, we received a check from FLAM for 101. So we received, and that check was cleared. So now I want you to understand that an entry on the debit side in the cash book will be on the credit side on the bank statement. That's very important. Similarly, a debit entry on the cash book will be a debit balance or a debit entry on the bank statement. So on 8th December, we paid B. Young for 62. That check was presented. That check was presented for payment. It is there on the debit side. On the 15th, we paid F grade 21. That check was presented for payment. And on 22nd, we received a check from G. Brook and that check was cleared. On 28th, we paid a check to T Errant 209. That check was not presented. So this one is unpresented check. This is unpresented check. Unpresented check. On 31st, we received a check from G. Brook. That check was not cleared. This is uncleared check. And on 31st, also, we received a check from S. Miller. That check is not on the bank statement. It was not cleared. This is uncleared check. So if you check there, we have credit transfer. This item is on the bank statement, but not in the cash book. That is bank charges on the bank statement, but not in the cash book. So the first thing that we do now is to update the cash book or amend the cash book or correct the cash book. So we have updated cash book. Updated cash book. That is abbreviation. So we have the debit side and credit side. So now we have, you don't need to rewrite the whole cash book. You start with a closing balance. This closing balance is on the credit side. When you bring it down, it will be on the debit side. So that is balance. You brought forward. The balance brought forward there is 34, 37. Now we go to items on the bank statement, but not in the cash book. We have credit transfer. It's on the credit side on the bank statement. It will be on the debit side in the cash book. So this is credit transfer to Tim Morris. From Tim Morris. Tim Morris was paying by credit transfer. That is 93. And then we have bank charges is on the debit side on the bank statement. It will be on the credit side in the cash book. Bank charges, which is 47. So you balance. So the total there will be 35.30. $35.30. The balance, updated balance, carried down, is 34.83. After that, we can now prepare the bank reconciliation statement. Bank reconciliation statement. Bank reconciliation statement. You start with, I'll show you another alternative method, but we are starting with the updated cash book balance. Balance as per cash book. Abbreviation, which is 34.83. Add and presented check. The reason why we are adding back is because at the bank, they have not deducted. But in the cash book, we have deducted. Add and presented check. Here we deduct, this is deducting, but at the bank it's not deducted. So to reconcile, we must also add back. This was from to T errand. That is 209. 209 there, how much do we have? 3692. Then less uncleared checks. The reason why we are deducting is because in the cash book we have added, but at the bank they have not. So to be on the same footing, we also remove. So we have W Terry, that was 319. And there we have S Mira. S Mira, 246. So these we have 565. There we have 3127. This is what we have at the bank. So we have reconciled. This is balance as per bank statement. 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 So we have reconciled. I can also show you when you start with the balance as per bank statement and end up with the balance as per updated cash book. So here, I want you to pay particular attention. We have this one now, it will be the reverse action. So there now it will be balance as per bank statement. Balance as per bank statement. Abbreviation for bank statement, which is 3127. So here now, instead of deducting, we are going to add and cleared checks. Add and cleared checks. The uncleared checks. There we have W Terry. That is 319. Then S Mira. S Mira is 246. 565. Then less unpresented checks. Unpresented checks. And this one is T errand. T errand there is 209. And we have there 3483. That is balance as per cash book. So whichever way you want to balance, it will still reconcile. So for today, we can end here. And thank you very much for watching this video. May the Almighty God Jehovah bless you beyond measure.